Happy Friday, my fellow strangers. This is Mrs. Strange, and on today's episode for Stranger Universe, I will talk about another episode title for Stranger Things 5 that may be hinting at a monstrous new threat for the grand finale of the Netflix series. Before we start, please like, comment, and subscribe to see more episodes from Stranger Universe. Turn on your notifications to never miss another episode again. Follow us on our social media platforms to stay updated with Mrs. Strange and the Stranger Universe family every day. And now, let us begin. We are getting closer and closer to the end of production for Stranger Things Season 5, which is set to premiere at some point in 2025, but plot details are still heavily under wraps. To celebrate Stranger Things Day, Netflix finally revealed all 8 episode titles for the final season, giving audiences their latest tease of what to expect. Fans are now dissecting every episode title, what they could possibly mean, and who they might be linked to. On yesterday's video, we talked about the final episode of the show, titled The Right Side Up, and today we will go over episode 6, which will be named Escape from Camazotz. As we mentioned in our episode titles breakdown video from Wednesday, this name Camazotz has 2 interesting implications for what it could mean for the plot of Season 5. Originally, Camazotz refers to a bat god from Mayan mythology, a spirit or death bat that serves the lords of the underworld. The name comes from the Kaish words came for death, and Sotz for bat. In Mayan mythology, a pair of heroes encounter the Camazotz in the underworld when they stay in the House of Bats. Considering that Season 4 had a ton of bats from the Upside Down that attacked our gang and eventually killed Eddie, this title may be cluing us in on a giant bat-like creature that our heroes are trying to evade. While the creatures of the Stranger Things franchise often look and act differently than D&D monsters, the Hawkins kids love to dub their foes with familiar names. The Demogorgon, the Mind Flayer, and Vecna are all named after Dungeons and Dragons monsters. Now, as the series moves towards its 5th and final season, it looks like one more borrowed villain will appear, and it poses a whole new threat to the Hawkins gang. But the title appears to refer to Camazotz as a place rather than a monster. The Duffer Brothers have confirmed that Season 5 has taken inspiration from A Wrinkle in Time, and in that story, Camazotz is a planet which is controlled by evil entities. In Madeleine L'Engle's excellent science fiction novel, Camazotz is where the main children characters go to find their father. It's the homeworld of the book's antagonist, a mind-controlling brain entity that controls all the beings on the planet. That brain entity is called It, just like the titular clown killer from Stephen King's 1986 horror novel. Throughout A Wrinkle in Time, this elder brain uses the man with red eyes as its human agent. If this sounds vaguely familiar, it's cause this character comparison already exists in the show. Vecna is the man with the red eyes, and serves as the agent of the Mind Flayer, which would obviously be Stranger Things' own equivalent of the cosmic entity from A Wrinkle in Time. This brings me to another theory, that Camazotz is the name of the strange dimension where Henry Creel met the Mind Flayer in Stranger Things 4. That world was definitely not the Upside Down, because even though there was a Demogorgon running around, it looked more grandiose and ethereal than the Dark Mirror of Hawkins where Will Byers was hiding in 1983. Perhaps Camazotz is a name given to that realm by a child who may not know much about Dungeons and Dragons but is rather familiar with children's books from Hawkins Elementary School. I am of course talking about Holly Wheeler, who will be vanishing at the start of the story, and the titular blanked-out subject from the 2nd episode of Season 5. Based on what little we know about Holly, she would be unaware of the names and terms of the tabletop game that her older brother Mike plays with his friends throughout the show. She may have been too young to remember, or didn't stumble upon their D&D campaigns growing up. Instead, Holly would use other kinds of vocabulary to describe things that she sees or experiences. In Ross Duffer's photo dump from late July, there was a picture of an artwork for Alice in Wonderland placed on the wall in what appears to be Holly's room, based on the tiles used behind the frame. All of this is to say that Holly will already have her own knowledge of literature, specifically kids' books like A Wrinkle in Time, and maybe she'll be taken over to Camazotz by a seemingly friendly Henry Creel, dressed in a nice, antique outfit to approach her early on in Season 5. Holly could very well be the show's mirror of the children's father from A Wrinkle in Time, in that her soul and mind is either trapped in Camazotz or in Vecna's mind lair, where we saw Max and Eleven come across in the final episode of Season 4. In Season 5, our brave heroes will need to go to save poor Holly from the evils of the hellish dimension. In general, we shall see what exactly the Stranger Things version of Camazotz will be. Overall, terrifying times. And that is all that we have for today. What are your thoughts on this episode title for Stranger Things 5? Do you think Camazotz is the name of a monster or an alternate realm? Today's special shoutout is for Authentic Reginald. To get a chance at becoming our next special Stranger Universe shoutout, type it down in the comments section below. Turn on your notifications to never miss another Stranger Universe episode like this one. Join us on our episode premieres to interact with Mrs. Strange and other members of the Stranger Universe family. Thank you all for watching. I am Mrs. Strange, and this is Stranger Universe. Over and out.